Hey there, all you electric vehicle enthusiasts and tech entrepreneurs. Welcome to Volt China Channel. Today we're diving into a topic that's as complex as it is full of suspense. The impact of U.S. EV subsidy policies on Chinese brands entering the U.S. market. As one of the largest automotive markets in the world, the U.S. operates like a massive stone dropped into a pond, sending ripples far and wide. So how will these ripples affect the global expansion strategies of Chinese EV brands? Is this an opportunity or a challenge? Today, we'll provide you with an in-depth analysis to help you understand the logic behind the situation and the possibilities for the future. First, let's take a look at the history of U.S. EV subsidy policies. In its early days, U.S. subsidy policies were relatively straightforward, primarily encouraging consumers to purchase EVs through tax credits. Eligible buyers could receive up to $7,500 in federal tax credits, which indeed boosted EV sales in the U.S. However, over time, these policies have become increasingly complex and targeted. Particularly in recent years, the U.S. has shifted toward a domestic-first approach, imposing requirements not only on the production and assembly of EVs, but also on the sourcing of battery components and critical minerals.
According to the latest 2024 policy, only electric vehicles assembled in North America and with a certain percentage of critical minerals in their batteries sourced from the U.S. or countries with free trade agreements with the U.S. are eligible for subsidies. More importantly, starting in 2025, any critical minerals and battery components associated with foreign entities of concern, FEOC, will be entirely excluded from subsidy eligibility. The term foreign entities of concern primarily refers to China.
In simple terms, U.S. subsidy policies are shifting from encouraging consumption to protecting domestic industries. The core goal of these policies is not just environmental protection, but also to build an EV supply chain centered around the United States. Next, let's take a look at the performance of Chinese brands in the global EV market. It can be summed up in one phrase: Chinese brands are thriving across the board. BYD achieved sales of 4.27 million vehicles in 2024, maintaining its position as the global leader. SAT Group surpassed 1.234 million units in new energy vehicle sales. Emerging automakers like NIO, Li Auto, and XPENG are also making significant strides, delivering 222,000, 550, and 190,100 vehicles, respectively. One of the core competitive advantages of Chinese brands is battery technology. For example, BYD's Blade battery has become an industry benchmark with its high safety, long lifespan, and low cost. Moreover, China controls 90% of the global supply chain for EV battery raw materials, giving Chinese brands a distinct edge in both cost and technology. So, what direct impacts will U.S. subsidy policies have on Chinese brands? We've summarized three major challenges. Limited subsidy eligibility. Under current policies, Chinese EV brands are almost entirely excluded from federal subsidies in the U.S. For example, on a $50,000 EV, a $7,500 subsidy effectively reduces the price by 15%. Without subsidies, Chinese brands immediately face a pricing disadvantage. Cost and pricing pressure. To meet policy requirements, Chinese automakers would need to build factories in the U.S. or adjust their supply chains, which would entail significant cost pressures. Building factories requires massive capital investment, while sourcing key minerals and battery components locally would also come at a much higher cost. Market share challenges. U.S. domestic brands like Tesla and Ford not only enjoy policy support, but also have the advantage of strong brand recognition. In comparison, Chinese brands still need to build trust and influence among U.S. consumers. Despite these challenges, Chinese brands are not without strategies to respond. Overseas manufacturing expansion. Some well-established Chinese automakers have already started setting up factories in North America to meet subsidy requirements. Localized production not only reduces transportation costs, but also allows for better adaptation to consumer needs and product strategies. For instance, companies like BYD and CATL are considering overseas factory setups to bypass policy limitations. While this approach comes with challenges such as cultural differences, regulatory compliance, and supply chain adaptation, it could be a crucial step for Chinese brands to establish a foothold in the U.S. market in the long run. Technology licensing and partnerships. Partnering with U.S. domestic companies through technology licensing or joint R&D is another effective strategy. For example, Chinese companies could license battery technology to U.S. firms, while the latter handle localized production and sales. This approach not only avoids restrictions related to foreign entities of concern, but also leverages U.S. companies' market channels and resources to quickly gain traction.
The core of the technology licensing model lies in the protection and control of intellectual property. Through properly designed contracts, the risk of technology leakage can be minimized, while also enabling Chinese companies to secure stable returns from the collaboration.
Product differentiation competition. Chinese brands can focus on intelligence and personalization to create differentiated competitive advantages. For example, in the field of smart driving technology, Chinese brands can deeply develop features such as automated parking in complex urban scenarios or introduce more user-friendly in-car interactive experiences. Additionally, incorporating Chinese cultural elements into car designs could also become a significant highlight to attract American consumers. To provide a clear understanding of how Chinese automakers might respond to U.S. subsidy policies, let's analyze two hypothetical cases: BYD's potential strategy for entering the U.S. market. As a global leader in new energy vehicles, BYD's biggest challenge in entering the U.S. market lies in the limitations of subsidy policies. If BYD chooses to establish factories in the U.S., it can leverage its advanced battery technology and diverse vehicle lineup to launch EV models that meet U.S. policy requirements. Additionally, BYD could focus on the commercial vehicle sector, such as electric buses, where competition is relatively less intense, and BYD already has extensive experience globally. Xiaomi Auto's smart strategy. Xiaomi Auto's advantage lies in its smart ecosystem. If it enters the U.S. market, Xiaomi could deeply integrate its smart home products with vehicles to create a unique intelligent mobility ecosystem. For instance, seamless connectivity between smartphones and cars could enable remote control and information sharing between homes and vehicles. Furthermore, Xiaomi could collaborate with U.S. local companies to gradually meet subsidy policy requirements. The impact of U.S. subsidy policies on China's new energy vehicle industry can be summarized as short-term challenges, long-term opportunities. Chinese brands will face significant resistance in expanding into the U.S. market, leading some companies to delay their entry plans and instead strengthen their presence in other markets, such as Europe and Southeast Asia. These challenges will also push Chinese companies to accelerate technological innovation and globalize their supply chains. By enhancing R&D capabilities and optimizing industrial chain structures, Chinese brands can further consolidate their position in the global new energy vehicle industry. As global competition in the EV sector intensifies, U.S. subsidy policies may continue to evolve. For example, as supply chain realities shift, policies may moderately relax requirements on the origin of critical minerals and battery components to ensure market supply-demand balance. Despite facing numerous challenges, Chinese brands are not without opportunities in the U.S. market. By adopting strategies such as technological innovation, overseas manufacturing, and differentiation, Chinese brands could still carve out a place in the U.S. market. With continuous advancements in Chinese EV technology and growing brand influence, it's likely that Chinese brands will bring more high-quality and diversified EV options to U.S. consumers in the future. Now here's the question. What do you think are the biggest opportunities and challenges for Chinese brands in the U.S. market? Do you think brands like BYD and Xiaomi should make aggressive moves into the U.S., or should they focus on solidifying their presence in other markets first? Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments section. If you found today's video insightful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Volt China. We'll continue to bring you more in-depth analysis and the latest updates on the new energy vehicle industry.